As we continue our Aquinas 101 series on proofs for the existence of God, we'll now examine what is considered to be a, quote, metaphysical proof for the existence of God. By metaphysical, I do not mean crystals and astral projections. What I mean is a proof from the highest of the philosophical sciences, where we consider being itself to prove that God must exist. To see why, stick around. Today's argument for the existence of God comes from an early text of St. Thomas called De Ente et Essentia, which can be translated as On Being and Essence. In this text, St. Thomas is primarily arguing for a philosophical point that is a unique contribution to philosophical thought, namely, that there is a real distinction between what something is, or its essence, and the act of that thing's existence. We have a video on that distinction if you want to review it before continuing with this one. Within St. Thomas's discussion of the distinction between essence and existence, we find an interesting argument for the existence of God, which we'll consider today. The argument begins by making the distinction between essence and existence, a distinction for which St. Thomas is famous. It goes like this. Take an individual object. Every part of that object that is not a part of the object's essence is something distinct that combines with the essence in the object. For example, take a turtle. Let's call the turtle Ted. Ted the turtle has an essence. Whatever is not part of the essence of turtleness in Ted comes to be in Ted by combining with his essence in some way. Let's take color, for instance. Turtles come in many colors, shades of brown, green, yellow, red, etc. Ted happens to have a shell that is a combination of browns, greens, and a weirdly vibrant yellow. His coloring is distinct from his turtleness, that is, his essential features. And so the color of Ted's shell is distinct from the essence of turtleness in Ted and exists combined with his essence. So Ted is at least a combination of turtleness with accidents like color. Now St. Thomas remarks that we can understand in general the essence of something without knowing whether that thing exists. For example, I can know the essence of a turtle without knowing whether or not such a thing as a turtle exists. Maybe it turns out that the only animal which I've ever called a turtle turns out to be a tortoise. Then I would know what a turtle is, but not know whether turtles exist. What St. Thomas takes this to mean is that we can distinguish between the essence of a thing and its existence. Now, there is a lot to say about this part of the argument, and some controversy about its efficacy. However, for our purposes, we can ignore the debates, since we know that St. Thomas makes the distinction between essence and existence more evident elsewhere. So let's grant the distinction between essence and existence here. In the next stage of the argument, St. Thomas points out that if there is something that exists whose very essence just is existence, then there can only be just one thing whose essence is existence. Why is that the case? Well, there is a principle in philosophy that we call the principle of the identity of indiscernibles. What this principle says is that if there are multiple things, then there must be discernible differences between those things. If there are no discernible differences, then they are identical. Now let's take existence. If there is going to be more than one thing that exists, there must be some difference between existing things. St. Thomas says that there are three ways that one thing can be differentiated from another. 1. By addition of some essential difference. 2. By instantiating a given form in different subjects or matter. 3. By distinguishing between the pure unmixed form from versions of the form mixed with other things. If we were to multiply existence in the first way, by adding some essential difference, we end up giving those things a form or an essence that is distinct from the act of existence. So two existing things that have distinct forms cannot be pure existence. If we were to distinguish existence in the second way, by adding it to distinct subjects or clumps of matter, these two things would also not be pure existence. Instead, they would be existence plus matter. So the only way to have something that is pure existence and to have multiple existing things is to identify the pure existence and to talk about all other existing things as essences in combination with existence. So if there is something that is pure existence, then there can only be one such thing. That is the conclusion of the second stage of St. Thomas's argument. This part of the argument is the most difficult to grasp, but I hope that it is clear enough. I'm afraid that is all the time I have today for this argument, but if you want to hear the exciting conclusion, join us next time. For readings, podcasts, and more videos like this, go to Aquinas101.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for one of our free video courses on Aquinas. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends, because it matters what you think.